When we were children, we all had our pillars of culture, things we loved the most and things that shaped us. My childhood culture rests on 4 pillars: Asterix, Tintin, Valerian and Lucky Luke. As of 2017, all 4 of them have had their different live action movies made to various degrees of success. The probably least high profile of these ones are Lucky Luke. Today we are going to take a look at the movie from 2009 called simply Lucky Luke. So this movie is based on Lucky Luke, which was a Belgium-French comic strip created in 1946. Basically what Maurice and René was able to do was to create a sort of love letter / parody to the classic Western genre. Lucky Luke was a wandering cowboy who came to different places and solved problems. Sometimes he would, capture escaped convicts, often the Dalton brothers. Sometimes it would be like escorting wagons west, or sometimes it would be tying the telegraph together, or tying, the iron horse, the railroad together. Sometimes it would be to make peace with the Native Americans, and sometimes it would be something completely different. Apart from Jolly Jumper, his horse who also talked to him, or did he? I'm not entirely sure if I ever figured that one out entirely. There were very few reoccurring characters. Ratata was one, the dog who constantly misunderstood everything was one of them. They wrote over 80 albums between 1946 and 1977. It's sort of the original Lucky Luke, which is sort of the thing I am mostly familiar with. But you felt that this was in no means disrespectful to the time period, because they used a lot of real people: Mark Twain, Abraham Lincoln, Jesse James, Billy the Kid, Calamity Jane, just to name a few. There was a short-lived TV show about Lucky Luke. I never saw that one. There was also a movie that made in 1991 with Terence Hill as Lucky Luke. When you would consider the acting qualities of Terence Hill, it would probably mean that a lot of people got slapped around most of the movie. But today we're not going to talk about that. We're going to talk about the movie Lucky Luke from 2009, starring Jean Dujardin. That's the dude who got an Oscar for The Artist 2 years later, who'd figure. Let's talk first about the casting of Jean Dujardin as Lucky Luke. It is an absolute masterstroke, because he nails Lucky Luke's persona down to a T. It's the small things that really make me believe that yes, this is Lucky Luke made live. Also, the costume is fantastic. It looks like it doesn't look like it looks like something a rugged cowboy would have had for years and years and years on the road. And all of these small little details with the hat and the vest who has bullet holes in it, and that is just great. Jolly Jumper is great, and the movie also looks like a Lucky Luke album with all these small details that made the album so endearing and great. But what about the story? Which album are they going to follow? Come to think of it, I actually don't know that, because they combine a couple of different of them. So Lucky Luke is hired by the President of the United States. They have a problem in Daisy Town, where the two railroads are going to connect each other and tie the country together. And it's ridden with crime. It is his job to go and stamp it out. Now, one thing you must know about the source material before we go in, and it is that Lucky Luke has a no-killing policy. This was never specifically, stated in the original albums. It was sort of just a it was just sort of a thing that was. Lucky Luke was such an excellent marksman and was so fast on the draw that he could actually shoot the enemy's bullets so they wouldn't hurt anybody. He would always shoot to disarm. He would never shoot to kill. He would never shoot to wound, never shoot to maim. He would always shoot to disarm. This represents what I would consider the absolute baffling thing about this movie, and we will get to that. Don't you worry, we will get to that. Let's see here now. Oh God. Where was I? Oh yeah. So Lucky Luke arrives in Daisy Town, which is completely infested with robbery and crime and misdemeanors and everything you can think of. And then he cleans up the town. And my first thing was, what? One of the key elements to this one is that the city is basically run by Pat Poker. Lucky Luke and Pat Poker did have a couple of albums where they were on opposite side of the law, and he was hunting him and putting him in jail and stuff like that. And so he's not a unknown character in the Lucky Luke universe. They decide when he has locked up a couple of them that we have to get Billy the Kid. Billy the Kid and Jesse James shows up. Both of them are very interested in taking the yellow and black wearing hero down. Jesse James is especially fond of quoting Shakespeare, misquoting, if I may say so myself. So far so good. I mean, it has been a rather silly movie so far. A lot of weird stuff has happened, and everything is very over the top. This weird camera angles and this extreme frog perspective, and everything looks like sort of Sergio Leone on crack or something like that. But it is so utterly butterly mad that you accept it. It is stupid, but it is endearing. It is over the top, but it is at least entertaining. So half an hour in, virtually, we're still hopeful. Sure, they have given Lucky Luke a slightly different backstory where he, sees his parents getting killed in the beginning, which sounds like a really silly thing to do in a show like this, but it's okay, it works. It shows how he decided not to kill and stuff like that. It works. And then it turns out that Pat Poker may have been responsible for his death. Sure, this is a little weird, but it's okay, it works. This is still a funny and entertaining, really odd Western thing. And then they have a duel on the street, and Lucky Luke kills Pat Poker. What? And then something happens from out of nowhere. What was that? And then, do you know what happened then? Do you know what happens? This thing runs into an absolute wall. I don't know how to explain this. I actually have to tell you this one. I have to explain what happens. Consider this a spoiler alert warning. Consider this a spoiler alert warning, because this has to be addressed right here, right now. If you don't want to know what happens, skip to this point, because I have to tell you what happens in the next 39 goddamn minutes. So because Lucky Luke has killed, he goes into an identity crisis, I would assume. First he tries to lie down and kill himself while being run over by a train. Then Jolly Jumper starts talking to him after 30 minutes while not doing this earlier and not doing it ever since after this sequence is over, which is weird. I mean, he talked in the comics, but it's okay, but he stopped doing it later. Then Lucky Luke's decided he doesn't want to, be Lucky Luke anymore. So he decided to try to be a farmer. And then he tries to start punching women in the face. And then possibly the people in Daisy Town start smoking weed. And then what the fuck is going on? What the fuck is going on? And all of these very silly things just keep going and going and going, and you're thinking, what the hell is going on? Why can't we go back to this very silly stuff? And then he decides out of the fucking blue that he's going to move to his cousins in Ireland, form a family and settle down. Good job, man! Ooh! And after a agonizing 39 fucking minutes. That's 40% of the entire movie, including the credits. Then it is, then we find out that Pat Poker was not dead because he was a magician. He was able to, make it look like he killed himself. So then Lucky Luke heads back to being Lucky Luke, teams up with Calamity Jane, Jesse James and Billy the Kid, and then they go to, settle this once and for all with the baddies. So what you missed in my rant there was that 39 minutes of the movie goes into an absolute mud hole. It is excruciatingly stupid. It is excruciatingly bad. It comes totally out of nowhere. It makes no sense. It makes even less sense when you're, thinking about the big ramification of the entire thing. It makes the movie utterly boring because this entire sequence serves no purpose whatsoever. It just goes to show that when we are at the duel, then the movie has gone on for about 30 minutes. And you would think that you would have reached this position about maybe, at the end of the movie. But, we had an hour left. This is so bad, this is so colossally stupid that I don't know, I don't know how to process it, because we began very silly and very stupid indeed, but at least I was entertained. At least it looked and felt, it sounded like a Lucky Luke album. Then it completely shit the bed. When they leave this cavalcade of hell, which is also known as the 39 minutes I will never get back from my life, the movie actually picks up a little bit and actually, delivers a very silly, very over the top and very enjoyable ending to the whole thing. All these fun little details that they do, they're great. It creates a very silly movie, very reminiscent of the Asterix live action movies, and they are entertaining and they're fun. But it is very, very late. It's absolutely too late. It cannot save this, and it's a shame. It's such a shame because all these little details, people hiding in barrels in Daisy Town, that's funny, and all these small little cameos and small little nods to the original series, that's good. And Jean Dujardin is fantastic for most part as Lucky Luke, and they have nailed everything to a T. So why did you do this? This is dumb. Ooh, please make it stop. Ugh. So, in the end, this is a really mixed bag. If you're a big fan of the Lucky Luke albums, I wouldn't advise you to see it, or maybe I would advise you to see it up until the 30-minute mark, then skip to the 1 hour 8-minute mark or something like that, and then it works as a 55-minute movie, which is not technically a movie, but never mind about that. If you're unfamiliar with the source material, it will not work either, because this is simply too silly, and the humor doesn't really work if you don't understand the original material. Some cliches that they have straight up imported from Hollywood is straight out baffling and straight up doesn't fit this one. It's a shame, because a lot of characters are a lot of fun. Calamity Jane, Jesse James and Billy the Kid are absolutely fantastic, and what they could have done makes me sad in a fundamental way. So the movie is too entertaining and too fun to really get a really low, and it's not a bad movie, but it is extremely flawed because of this thing in the middle that completely derails the entire product. What could have been? Oh, what could have been? And why couldn't he have chased the Dalton brothers instead? You know, having Dalton brothers and Ratata with this crew and with the talent that is here, it's sad. I'm really sorry. Better luck next time, Luke, I suppose. The rating of 25 may sound a bit high, but the good bits are good, despite being, you know, very, very, very hokey. But what could have been if not those 39 minutes of hell wouldn't have existed? We will never know. This is the final winter edition episode. This will be my final one because it is the 2nd of April 2018. It's impossible that the snow can, you know, lay around for, you know, even a week to come. I'd say it's gonna be snow-free in 1 week. I'd say the 10th. Was I right? Oh, so let's go back to the purple room. This is the Wikstrand signing out.